Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my precious pack, and welcome back once more to VEGA Conflict. What can I say about the Valrayvn so far? Fast-moving, hard-hitting, dodges extremely easily, but it has its built-in drawbacks, namely that 4,000 meter blind spot that you can literally slip right up into and just pummel the poor thing. And pummel you will, because without being able to move quickly enough, or if you have stasis on your ship, it will not be able to run away, it will not be able to fight back, it will not be able to do much of anything. Secondarily, because of the relative, I'm not going to say it's the poor nature of the design of the ship, because it is a very good ship, and I can't wait to use more of them against the Orator Mark 6 targets instead of my Dreadnought. It is a very dangerous ship, as you can see. It's just one-shotting modules in the level 89 Axis outpost. And I can't wait to get another few of them. I'm going to pair them with the Medusas, which I'll talk about towards the end of the video. But for now, my initial thoughts are, it's a very interesting ship for exactly what it is. It's a long-ranged support ship, similar to what destroyers were originally, but it is much more dangerous than an actual destroyer in that it has alpha damage like no long-range ship before it. It has projectile speed as well, meaning that if you have a close-range stasis-based ship, you'll be able to destroy and just decimate single targets in whatever NPC fleet or PvP fleet you're fighting with relative ease. The current build that you see here, Mark 1, this little thing has an effective 6,200 plus damage per second. Now we know that's not how the damage is actually calculated, because the alpha damage is going to be a subdivision of the reload speed, the firing cycle, and things like that. In this case, it's a driver weapon, so it has reload on top of the fire. Now, what exactly do I like about the ship? What do I not like about it? Well, so far the skins look pretty interesting, with the exception of the toxic skin. It looks like a little bit like a... I'll just show you what it looks like in-game if the sail is still up. But I like the aesthetic of the ship, the built-in animation for when it's moving forwards, when it's getting close to the target, the wings fold up and it just accelerates. But when it's there and it's firing around the target, it opens them up so it can just strafe around. It seems like it's opening up lateral engines. And it is a very interesting and fun ship to play with so far. An overdriver, the thing hits like a freight train. And pairing it with a Medusa destroyer with a potentially a would be the best for it. I'm thinking Rester Beam, because you wouldn't want it to miss, but you would want it to still have range to be able to hold the target still, but then you'd be pairing it with mostly energy weapons to be able to maintain its ablative. It would behave more like a tank than a cruiser would, and it would also serve the purpose of holding the target still for a Valrayvn to just stomp them. And again, I can't wait to use multiple of these targets against, well, multiple of these ships against the Orator Mark 6 targets, because they're going to be brutally efficient against them, especially when paired with Medusas. And I'm going to farm up a bunch of Mark 5 Medusas once the Umbral Sector is open for us to use, because it will be the greatest utilization I can see yet. And for that entire fight, due to the built-in repair time of only 2 hours, it only took 32 minutes repair time. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut to the base real quick, because I want to talk to you about it there. Welcome back. As I said before, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at the few skins that are available for the ship currently, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have a quick look over the mark upgrades, what they provide per level, and what the Mark 6 looks like, fitting-wise, weapon-wise, what we can do with it, things like that. So, first up is Cypher. Mark 6 naturally. It actually looks pretty nice. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at the Toxic next, and this is the one where I said it didn't look all that great. And it's because, well, I'm not going to say exactly what that looks like for the sake of this video, but I'm going to let most of you use your imagination. And the first thing that pops into your head. The Sunset skin actually looks pretty nice. Though it the body of the ship actually doesn't contrast with the mutations and the stuff that's grown off of it, as you can see. I would advise the team to work a little bit more on it, specifically the skin. The red highlights, they actually look pretty nice, but all the darker aspects of it, well, they look flat in comparison to the rest of it. I would have gone with something more akin to something along the shades of this purple you got here for the chassis, or bright yellow or something that would have contrasted a little bit better, because the aspect there's just a little bit too dark in comparison to most of the rest of it, where it looks like it looks like a sunset. Now let's go ahead and let's take a quick peek at the mark upgrades. So Mark II, you immediately get an ablative armor slot, so you immediately become stronger, and you gain increased strafe speed when this one's over. Destroying enemies when, yeah, triggers that when you destroy them, alright. So, nothing major there. Okay, Bloodthirst gets touched, let's see here. Increased damage per second, alright. Anything at Mark IV? Resistance slot, not all that relevant because of what you're going to be using the ship for. It's going to be long range support. Mark V. Bloodthirst goes up to 10% damage per second increase, so you get up to a 50% increase over the current value. No, over the base value. And if you're using clay and you're using Mark VI, you can push the ship to 6,000 damage per second due to the twin firearcs. It has 12,000 damage per second. If you have clay equipped, it will have over 15,000 damage per second. And if you increase that number by 50%, you'd have an additional 6,000 damage on top of that. So you'd have upwards of 21,000 damage per second. That just outpaced my Behemoth Destroyer. That's just one ship at Mark VI. I'm going to have a fleet of them. And I'm going to be using them to farm the final Orator target, just to see how well they do. I'm going to be pairing them with a few of the Medusa Destroyer fittings that I have, and these ones are these are more or less support ships in what they were built for, and I was building these destroyers to support longer range destroyers. I was building them to support kinetic weapon destroyers typically. However, I wound up turning them into stasis ships with the sole intention of just holding a target still. Now, if you're fighting a gargoyle carrier, this won't work because naturally the beam weapon would be disabled, and net torpedo would be a better bet. However, due to the lower, was it range? No, it was the fact that the net torpedo didn't always hit the target when you used it on destroyer, and it was using the preferred impact weapon, well, the preferred weapon, which is one that can't miss, to hold the target still. And as you saw with the base attack, this thing has no issues with damage, but due to it being a driver weapon, it can be dodged by strafing. And that's where the destroyers come in. They would be the ones that they would stop whatever tries to rush and allow the Valrayvns to just stomp the target out. But at the moment, my thoughts on the Valrayvn is, pardon me, it's actually a fairly fun ship so far to use, and I actually can't wait to build more of them. I want a fleet of 3 and 3, 3 Medusas and 3 Valrayvns, to be able to farm the Orator Mark VI target. And I also cannot wait for the Umbral sector to open. I believe it was supposed to be later this month, after the downtime, because I want to farm up the Mark V Medusa Destroyer credits and things like that. And that will just become a general open aspect of the game that I can't wait for, just like with the Pharmacon sector. But what do all of you think of the Valrayvn so far? How many of you have one, and what do you think of it so far? Have you enjoyed it? Have you mixed and matched it with all kinds of other ships? And if so, how well has it actually functioned with them? How enjoyable has it been for you so far? But we're going to go ahead, we're going to go to the final attack, which is the pairing of it and the Medusa Destroyer so you can see that. I'll bring y'all back in just 1 second. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take a note from the AI's book with this final fight. And by that I mean we're going to stasis the targets. Now, my plan is to have 3 Valrayvns and 3 Medusas. The Medusas will naturally have the Arrestor Beam, and the Valrayvns will just be little tiny murder ships that fly around the back of the fight. And the intention is to more or less have the Medusas tank, while the Valrayvns just stomp the targets. And they're going to hold them still for the Valrayvns to shoot them. And as you can see, even the heretics are being crushed relatively easily. Oh, and that barrage you just saw, that one off the screen, it just destroyed the carrier with that. But that's going to be it. Be safe out in the void, happy hunting, and as always everybody, I'll see you later.
The battle is won. Zara Kun awaiting the call. Let us proceed.